You're in an alley, the narrow space hemmed in by walls that loom like silent sentinels. Trash is strewn about, the detritus of a world that's moved on, leaving you behind in this forgotten crevice. There's a smell too, damp and rotting, the scent of decay. It's not just the garbage, it's in the air, a tangible presence that fills your lungs and coats your tongue. You gag, the taste of it bitter as you push yourself to your feet, steadying yourself against the wall. You don't know how you got here, you don't know where here is. The realization hits you with a wave of panic that tightens around your chest, squeezing the breath from your lungs. Your heart pounds, a frantic rhythm that's the only sign of life in this desolate place. You take a step, then another, moving out of the alley with hesitant steps. The town before you is quiet, too quiet. The silence is oppressive, a heavy weight that presses down on you, suffocating. The buildings are a mix of old and new, many of them abandoned, their windows boarded up, their doors locked tight. Here and there, signs of life flicker, a curtain twitching, a shadow moving behind a frosted pane. But they're fleeting, gone before you can be sure you saw anything at all. You call out, your voice hoarse, the sound of it jarring in the silence. Hello? But there's no answer, just the echo of your own voice bouncing off the walls, mocking you. You're alone, or so you think until you see them, the others. They're like you, lost and confused, wandering the streets with wide, frightened eyes. You approach one, a woman with hair as dark as the sky above, and when she turns to look at you, there's a moment of recognition, a flicker of something like hope before it's extinguished, snuffed out by the overwhelming reality of your situation. She speaks, and her voice is a whisper, a ghost of sound that sends shivers down your spine. You won't remember, she says, and the certainty in her voice is a knife to your chest. Tomorrow you'll wake up, and this will all be gone, like a dream you can't quite recall. You want to ask her what she means to demand answers, but before you can, the air shifts, a change so subtle you might have imagined it. But you didn't, because when you look up, you see him, the Curator. He's just a shadow, a silhouette against the fading light, but there's no mistaking the malevolence that emanates from him, a palpable force that freezes you in place. His voice, when it comes, is the sound of nightmares made flesh. Welcome, he says, and the word is a death sentence to your new reality. The darkness deepens, the shadows lengthening as if reaching for you, and in that moment you understand. This is no ordinary town, it's a prison, and you're the latest inmate. The Curator is the warden, and your sentence is one of eternal despair. You try to run, but it's like moving through molasses, each step harder than the last. You hear the others, their cries of terror mingling with your own, a cacophony of hopelessness that fills the air, and then everything fades, the town, the Curator, the others, leaving you alone in the darkness, the silence once again complete. The night never ends in this town. You've come to realize that as you wander the streets, the darkness, a constant companion. It's in this perpetual twilight that the horror truly unfolds, a slow dance of despair that you're powerless to escape. You find yourself drawn to an old building, its facade crumbling, the paint peeling away to reveal the rot beneath. It's here, among the remnants of a life once lived, that you meet others like you, souls trapped in a cycle of fear and amnesia, each day resetting the horror with no end in sight. Their stories are whispers of agony, tales of lives they can't remember living but feel the weight of nonetheless. There's a man with scars too precise to be accidents, a woman whose eyes hold a terror she can't articulate, and a child no more than 10 who hums a lullaby that makes your blood run cold. They're broken fragments of people, held together by the thin thread of shared suffering. The Curator watches, always. You feel his gaze like a physical touch crawling over your skin, delving into the crevices of your mind. You start to see his handiwork everywhere, in the way the shadows move, in the eerie silence that blankets the town, and in the eyes of the people you meet. There's a method to his madness, a purpose to the pain he inflicts. He's not just erasing memories, he's reshaping souls. You and your newfound companions find yourselves in what used to be a library, its shelves now barren, the books long since decayed. It's here that you uncover the truth of the Curator's experiments. Notes scattered among the debris speak of a quest to understand the essence of humanity by stripping it away layer by layer. You're not just victims, you're subjects in a twisted study of fear and forgetting. The revelation brings no solace, only a deeper dread. For what hope is there when your tormentor seeks to unmake you, to peel back the layers of your identity until nothing remains but the raw, screaming void within? As night bleeds into a night that's indistinguishable from the last, you start to lose yourself. Memories, both real and implanted, clash in your mind, a cacophony of past sins and fabricated horrors. You begin to wonder if the life you mourn, the one the Curator took from you, was ever worth remembering. Perhaps the true terror isn't forgetting who you were, but remembering. The darkness grows deeper, if such a thing is possible. It's then that you hear it, the sound of footsteps, not belonging to any of the lost souls you've encountered, but something else, something worse. The Curator is coming. Panic seizes you, a visceral, clawing thing that demands flight. But where can you run in a town that changes at the whims of a madman? The streets twist and turn on themselves, leading you back to the horrors you sought to escape. When he finds you, it's not with the dramatic flourish of a monster in a horror story. No, the Curator is subtler, his presence a suffocating certainty that wraps around your mind, squeezing until you're forced to confront the most terrifying truth of all. There is no escaping yourself, and in this town, under his gaze, you'll be forced to face that truth over and over until the end of time, because in a place where your own memories can be weaponized against you, what hope do you have of fighting back? You collapse, the fight leaching out of you as the realization takes hold. This is your reality now, a never-ending nightmare from which there is no awakening. And somewhere, in the depths of your despair, you hear the Curator's voice whispering, "Welcome home." The darkness is complete, a void where even the concept of light has perished. You float in this nothingness. The Curator's voice, a constant echo in your mind, a litany of despair that promises no end. You've ceased to struggle, understanding at last that resistance is not just futile, it's impossible. The town, with its labyrinthine streets and decaying facades, has become a distant memory, a stage for a play in which you were unwillingly cast. Now, there is only the darkness, and the voices, oh, the voices. They whisper to you a chorus of the damned, recounting tales of horror that chill the soul. You realize these are not just any stories. They are your stories. The memories the Curator has twisted into grotesque parables of fear. Each word is a blade, slicing open old wounds, exposing the raw, bleeding edges of your psyche. And then there's silence, a pause in the torment that's more terrifying than any whisper. You sense him then, the Curator, his presence enveloping you. There is no escape from his gaze, a force that compels you to look, to see. What you see is a mirror, but not one made of glass. It's a portal to the past, to the moments that have defined you, not the triumphs, but the failures, the moments of weakness, of cruelty, of despair. He forces you to watch, to relive every regret, every moment of shame. These memories, once hidden in the deepest recesses of your mind, are now laid bare, a feast for the Curator's insatiable appetite. You want to scream, to shut out the visions that assault you, but you're powerless, a prisoner of your own mind. The curator's voice is a caress, a seduction that draws you deeper into the abyss. There is no redemption, he whispers, and you know he speaks the truth. The darkness is not just around you, it's within, a part of you that you cannot escape. You understand the ultimate horror is not the pain, the fear, or even the despair. It's the realization that you belong to this darkness, that you always have. The curator, your tormentor, your judge, and your jury offers you a choice, a final act of cruelty masquerading as mercy. You can remain in this darkness, reliving your horrors for eternity, or you can become something less, a shadow of yourself, devoid of memory, of pain, but also of hope. The choice is no choice at all. You capitulate, surrendering the last vestiges of yourself to the abyss. In doing so, you become part of the darkness, a whisper in the chorus that will haunt the next unfortunate soul to cross the curator's path. As the story closes, the town remains, a beacon of despair in a world that has turned a blind eye to its horrors. The curator watches over it, a guardian of the gates of hell, waiting for the next victim to stumble into his web. And you're a shadow now, a part of the darkness, your story a cautionary tale that will never be told. The abyss has claimed you, and in its depths, you've found a twisted form of peace. But somewhere, deep within, a spark of what you once were lingers, a reminder that once you were human. It's this spark that the curator seeks to extinguish, for in the end, the greatest horror is not the darkness itself, but the light that refuses to die.